Kill Count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies and show you how they were made. I'm James A. Janice, and today we finish up the Hannibal franchise with Hannibal Rising, released in 2007. Hannibal Rising is the fifth and so far final feature film with Hannibal Lecter. It's a prequel showing the good doctor's origins as a young medical student in France. As you'd expect, we watch as he hunts down a band of war criminals who ate his younger sister when he was a kid. Wait, what the fuck? Is that right? I mean, you're telling me this kid is Hannibal, but I'm watching him weeb out with a samurai sword. I don't see how we got to this point. Anyone wanna... No? This is what we're doing? Okay. For all their weaknesses, Red Dragon and Hannibal still made a nice little trilogy with The Silence of the Lambs. Together, they formed a complete world with the same characters and history. Hannibal Rising feels tacked on, with the character completely divorced from the Anthony Hopkins portrayal. That problem seems to stem straight from the source material. Producer Dino De Laurentiis held the rights to the Hannibal character and wanted to have a prequel written about him.
There is such a thirst for the Hannibal Lecter character.
When Hannibal writer Thomas Harris hesitated, De Laurentiis threatened to have someone else do it, so Harris relented and wrote Hannibal Rising. It wasn't well received. No wonder, if its story is similar to the film adaptation. Gone is the intrigue of tracking a criminal by getting inside their head. I mean, there's a cop here, and it's fucking McNulty no less, but he doesn't really serve any purpose.
The fuck did I do?
Not much, dude. The whole movie is just Hannibal hunting down war criminals and killing them, all while he and his step-aunt have the hots for each other. What? It's shot alright and acted okay, you know, for the most part, but the writing feels like one shortcut after another, which is weird since the screenplay was written by Thomas Harris.
This is the first screenplay that Thomas Harris has written, and Thomas really is the father of Hannibal Lecter.
This is in fact his only screenplay, and it's clear he had a hard time adapting his style for cinema. In addition to all its other problems, Hannibal Rising has bad guys who are forgettable as shit. This is the same series that had Francis Dollarhide, Buffalo Bill, and Mason Verger. Not to mention Hannibal Lecter himself. Now our villains are these dudes? There are good actors among them, but they don't stand out. Hell, when you first meet the characters, you don't even know how many you're supposed to remember, and throughout their scenes, no one makes an individual impression. All of them are just sneering, dirty men who are out to do the worst things possible. There's no sympathy or camp. It's just evil. I don't like Hannibal Rising. I think it's a sad end to Hannibal's film career. I'm happy the TV show gave the character some redemption because I'm telling you, man, this ain't it. It's completely bland. It's like if Netflix made a Hannibal movie. It's background noise at best. Sometimes you just don't need to see a character's backstory. After all, you don't always hear me telling you about Past James. Past James. I remember him well. You might say he was naive to the ways of the world. I mean, he didn't even have to think about preventing male pattern baldness with clinically proven treatments from Keeps. Yeah, sure. With Keeps' online subscription services, I save time and money from the comfort of my home thanks to discreet packages that are delivered right to my door, and for half the typical cost of a pharmacy. But he didn't have to worry about saving time at all. Look at him, not a care in the world, not a thought in his head. He doesn't know that Keeps offers both FDA-approved treatments, like minoxidil, a solution you apply to your scalp as instructed that should show results in 4 to 6 months. Although some research does suggest minoxidil can be toxic to pets, and Past James definitely doesn't know that users are encouraged to look into the necessary safety precautions for using minoxidil without exposing their pet. So maybe it's a good thing that idiot doesn't know about minoxidil. Oh, going to throw on a horror movie? I can respect that, Past James. Oh man, that's a hard pick, Past Me. Can't go wrong with those two. Wait, what are you doing, Past James? What are you reaching for? No, it can't be true. I would never do that. Actually, yeah, I would. I really liked that movie as a kid. But I would save money thanks to a special offer from our sponsor, Keeps. Just go to keeps.com/deadmeat or click the link in the description. That's keeps.com/deadmeat. Anyway, this movie's bad, but it's got kills, so let's get to them. I don't know. The movie begins with a pig. Wait, is this prequel about those pigs from Hannibal or the cannibal from Hannibal? You gotta be more clear, title card! In the forests of Lithuania, a young Hannibal Lecter is playing with his younger sister Misha.
for Misha.
They're interrupted by distant bombing because it's 1944 and Nazi Germany has occupied the region. To avoid the approaching German army, Hannibal's family relocates from their house. Or, I'm sorry, their friggin' castle. But I guess it makes sense for Hannibal to have grown up with a house staff and shit. That's probably how he got used to the finer things in life. Or as Krendler put it,
Ortsy-fortsy stuff.
the Lecters flee to their hunting lodge as Nazi troops occupy their mansion, executing their Jewish cook off-screen in the process. Hard to make jokes with this subject matter, but I do wish this guy guy could have lived out his provincial life peacefully in Bell's Village. The Lecter family forest hideaway proves not to be hidden very well, since they're soon visited by Deadites? Oh, no, it's a Soviet tank crew. This checks out, since 1944 was the year Soviets took Lithuania from the Germans, ending an occupation that began in 1941. The Russian soldiers want water and seem friendly otherwise, but tanks are a good way to let the flies in. Soon enough, Nazi planes arrive, starting a firefight. Papa Lecter makes a run for his kids, but he gets gunned down in a hail of bullets. The Soviet tank gunner manages to shoot the Nazi pilot, but the plane crashes into them and causes a fiery explosion, which kills the Soviet soldiers and the Lecter family servants. Mama Lecter survives long enough to stumble towards Hannibal, only to dramatically die in the young boy's arms, turning him into a baby doll.
Mama! Mama!
He has enough sense to save his baby sister Misha, and they flee from shells popping off like a Jiffy Pop factory on fire. In a bombed out village, the dead and dying are being looted by a group of Lithuanian mercenaries disguised as medics. They arrived earlier with those Nazi soldiers at the Lecter castle, and we will come to not really know them as the movie's bad guys. The various shots of the battlefield give us 22 dead bodies to add to our count. God damn it, is this gonna be one of those on top of all its shittiness? Speaking of shittiness, posing as medics with Red Cross patches like this would be declared a war crime in the Geneva Convention after World War II. The leader of these war criminals is Brutus, who stumbles across the injured SS major they were taking orders from.
Kill a few gypsies, you said. Kill a few Jews and we'll make you SS. If you had kept your word, I would be saying yes, sir, to you now.
He declares his group's independence from the war by shooting his former boss right in the head. Then they see some approaching Soviet forces who are mowing down soldiers and civilians alike. The mercenaries flee, passing 9 more bodies on their way out. This movie better cool it with the frame-by-frame shit. The group stumbles across the Lecter's cabin, which has seriously shaped up to be a terrible hiding spot. They quickly overpower the small children they find inside and settle in for a long winter thanks to a Soviet army snow-in.
Roadblocks. Every 5 kilometers from here to Vilnius.
Brutus is played by Rhys Ifans, who I know from House of the Dragon, but you may know from his more lizardy form in a bunch of Spider-Mans. He and his 5 dirty assholes make for a lot of mouths to feed, especially with most of their food imported from the Tanz Academy. Brutus resorts to chowing down on a frozen bird, looking like a pissed off cat. But don't let him tell you he doesn't like it. Look at the vigor with which he eats. Still, if they're gonna survive, they're gonna need some fresher meat.
We eat or die.
They stare steak knives into the kids, but before they can get this Donner Party started, the movie jumps ahead 8 years. Hannibal Lecter is now a teenager, and he's haunted by what happened to him and his sister, but he's unable to remember any details, including the names of their tormentors. He lives at a foster home for kitty cannibals, which is actually his family castle, which has been converted to a Soviet state orphanage? Wait, what? Why? I mean, I get it from a historical sense, turning a castle into like an orphanage, but like, why put him back there? In any case, he doesn't like it here.
You do not honor the human pecking order. You're always hurting the bullies.
You must allow the bullies to succeed. At some point, they stick him in a cage? I don't know, but it's not really a cage, since Hannibal can walk right the fuck through it and find a way out. Hell, this supposed cell even comes with its own escape rope and escape ladder. Before he leaves, he collects some family mail they had stored away. You sure you want that, kid? It's probably just junk mail and catalogs. Leave us alone, Balsam Hill! Hannibal escapes and Indiana Joneses his way across Europe on a train, somehow getting past the Berlin Wall with ease. He arrives in France and heads to a mansion with an open gate policy, I guess. This is the home of an aunt and uncle who we've never heard of until this very moment. He finds out his uncle died recently, leaving his aunt Lady Murasaki alone and available. Grr. Seriously though, I don't know how close these two were before the war, but I'd wager it wasn't as close as they immediately get here.
There is such a thirst for the Hannibal Lecter character.
It's pretty weird. Lady Murasaki agrees to take the boy in and even shows him her sweet samurai heritage.
I have the honor, only on my ancestor's birthday, to polish his armor with oil of cloves.
Hannibal instantly becomes a weeb.
And like him.
Though the character is Japanese, Murasaki is played by Chinese actor Gong Li, whose career is extensive and recently included the live-action Mulan. The estate she lives in was an abandoned house that was refurbished by Polish production designer Alan Starsky. Starsky also built the hunting lodge in a forest in the Czech Republic, while the interiors were built in a studio in Prague. Lady Murayagi gives her cannibal karate kids some swordplay lessons. Nothing like sexy fighty times with her hot aunt. They go to a fish market that doesn't have crappily undercover cops, but rather bigoted butchers.
Hey, Japanese, tell me the truth. Does your pussy run crossways?
Lecter leaps to his aunt's defense with a meat hammer of justice, and the lady even gets involved by holding her knife to her neck, but they're forced to abandon the fight when police arrive. Unsatisfied, Hannibal secretly grabs his ancestor-in-law's samurai sword, as well as a mask. Wait, are you serious? We're doing this? Get the fuck out of here. I guess this is a Menpo mask, but we all know why it's here, and it's fucking dumb. Hannibal intercepts the butcher, whose name is Paul Momond, on his way back from a fishing trip. He says he owes his aunt an apology.
You inquired about her pussy.
Only I'm allowed to do that. Hannibal stops the meat man with a cold cut to the stomach, and after a few more slashes, comments on the way he bleeds.
I should add that to my drawing. Would you like to see it?
Man, why is this Hannibal a fucking Gotham villain? He kills the butcher with a decapitation, then takes the dude's fishy feast for himself.
Yum.
Murasaki finds the butcher's head presented on a silver platter, but her White Knight's shenanigans have caught the attention of French Inspector Pascal Papille. Papille arrived earlier and was shown the rest of the butcher's body by the chief of police. Hannibal's market brawl makes him a suspect in the butcher's murder, but this stone-cold criminal ices out their lie detector.
Do you have any guilty knowledge of the death of Paul Momond?
Guilty knowledge?
Limit your responses to yes or no.
No.
Papille is still suspicious of the boy, but his interrogation is interrupted when the butcher's head is found outside the station. We see that it was dropped off by Lady Murasaki, who carved a swastika in his forehead to make it appear politically motivated. Earlier, we learned that the butcher had been Vichy during the war, meaning he collaborated with and assisted the occupying Nazis. Hannibal is released, so he can go get hot for his aunt some more. Sometime later, Hannibal is admitted to a medical school in Paris. With her estate too expensive to maintain, Lady Murasaki moves with him to the city. He joins a work-study program that gives him plenty of bodies to play with, including this headless one that I'll go ahead and put on the count, sure. The job also reunites him with Detective Papille.
Hannibal Lecter, what are you doing here?
The body. I'm a medical student now.
Yes, I know. I followed your progress.
Then why'd you ask what he was doing there? Hannibal watches as Papille interrogates a war criminal named Louis using a serum that helps him remember suppressed memories.
Pardoux knew where the children were hidden. He's mayor of Belleville now.
Louis is given a namesake execution via guillotine, which France continued to use for executions until 1977. Hannibal busts out his favorite record and gets his Travolta on with some stolen truth serum. It allows him to remember the terrible truth once and for all. The mercenaries killed and ate his little sister Misha like a coven of fairy tale witches. The newly uncovered memory continues as Hannibal recalls that the cabin was destroyed in a bombing run. Amidst the chaos, one guy returned to grab the group's dog tags. Wait, I'm sorry, his name is Potwatcher?
Potwatcher.
Damn, these villains suck. Another explosion sends a beam crashing onto the porcelain peeper, killing him and burying the soldier's dog tags. Determined to hunt down his sister's killers, Hannibal returns to Lithuania to uncover their identities. Along the way, a border patrol guard tips off Dortlich, Brutus's right-hand man. He's now working as an officer in the Soviet border troops and remembers Hannibal's name from the war. Dortlich is played by Richard Brake, a seasoned kill count veteran who's now making his 6th appearance on the channel. That might be the most anyone's made playing a different character each time. Someone fact check me on that. Dortlich tracks Hannibal to his family lodge where the boy uncovers his sister's remains and the identities of her killers.
Conus. Brutus.
When Dortlich attempts a sneak attack, the cannibal counters and incapacitates the officer. Lecter ties him to a tree with one end of a rope coiled around his neck and the other around a horse. He asks Dortlich to send a confession via Pony Express. As his leash tightens, the officer gives up info about his confederates, but Hannibal still thinks this guy can rope burn in hell. He tells his horsey to giddy up, giving Dortlich an eye-popping off-screen death. And with the exit of Richard Brake, the villains somehow become even less interesting. After the kill, Hannibal licks the blood off his fingers, giving him the taste he'll come to love. In fact, when the police discover Dortlich's head later, they find his cheeks have been removed and eaten. Looks like Hannibal took some earlier cooking advice to heart.
The most exquisite bits of the fish are the cheeks. This is true for many creatures.
Hannibal arrives back home where Murasaki has been mulling over his Patrick Bateman sketchbooks. She's been worried about him, but he says that everything is okay since he's finally found his sister's killers. They go to a restaurant owned by one of them, Kolnas, where they see that he's become a family man. He's even got a cute little daughter, and Hannibal recognizes that the bracelet she wears was stolen from his sister. Just because you have kids don't mean you ain't a piece of shit though. Kolnas is still a dirtbag, as revealed when we train spot his sex trafficking operation. His partners in crime are his old war buddies, and he tells them who's suspected of killing Dortlich.
Hannibal Lecter.
Big Bad Brutus, looking much more slick these days, recognizes the name of their old dinner guest. He sends Milko, another one of his merry men, to take care of the boy cannibal. Milko stalks Hannibal to his workplace and scopes him out with the world's tiniest camera. It's so cute! He tries breaking into the morgue where his target is working on a couple of bodies. I'm pretty sure I didn't count morgue bodies way back in Reanimator, but I think my rule now would be to count these guys, so yeah, sure, get in there, whatever. Hannibal gets the drop on Milko and shanks him with a needle full of drugs. He interrogates Milko by spraying him down like a baby in Hannibal, hoping to get to the bottom of this layer cake. It happens in a formaldehyde tank that has some preserved bodies in it. Do we count these? I guess, yeah. Milko's fear here is genuine. Actor Stephen Walters was claustrophobic and had to do this scene partially with his hands tied together.
He was scared to death, literally scared to death, so not that much acting was required.
The merc coughs up Brutus's home address, but that doesn't stop Lecter from turning him into a human pickle, leaving him to drown in the chemicals. We later see him roasting the remains in a cremation chamber. Papil's been catching on to Hannibal the Cannibal's MO and pays a visit to Murasaki to warn her about her nephew's behavior. Not that he needs to tell her, she done noticed that Hannibal been getting kinda cray, and sexy. The inspector finds the soldier's dog tags in Hannibal's home and takes him in for questioning. Papil wants to prosecute the group for war crimes, but Hannibal wants to keep this revenge party amongst friends. Even though everyone in this movie knows Hannibal is guilty, there's no evidence, so the inspector lets him go. I guess now is when I'll say that I absolutely hate this portrayal of Hannibal. I hate it. Despite getting a movement coach to help him mimic Anthony Hopkins, French actor Gaspard Ulliel never feels quite right. His version of the character comes off as such a try-hard little edgelord. Nothing like the sophisticated psychopath we know. The look and voice are just too far apart. But it feels weird ragging on Ulliel's performance since he tragically died in a skiing accident in 2022. Though I hate his Hannibal, I've heard he's good in Moon Knight and It's Only the End of the World, and he was a popular fan casting choice for Edward Cullen in Twilight. I could see it. Of course, regardless of his acting talent, it sucks that he died. Wear your helmet, folks. When Hannibal returns home, Murasaki begs him to stop his revenge tour and settle down with her, his hot step-aunt. But before he can even begin to unpack that, Hannibal's got his own ghosts to deal with.
I can't. I already promised Misha.
He stakes out Brutus at his lavish compound and sneaks in and sets up an explosive finale with a MacGyvered latex glove time bomb. A steamed up Hannibal confronts Brutus while he's having tubby time.
I'm glad you're here. I always felt I owed you something.
Unfortunately, Hannibal gets made by a maid and Brutus's goons apprehended before he can immolate his former captor. Brutus stands by his past decision to eat a child, saying he had to do it to survive.
And I will never apologize to you.
Lecter's latex bomb goes off, giving him the chance to escape. He's aided by Brutus's bathroom attendant, whom the trafficker had kidnapped earlier. Sadly, Brutus puts her down quickly with a gunshot to the heart. Hannibal books it back home, but whoops, all of a sudden, the bad guys have Lady Murasaki. Shortcuts! Shortcuts everywhere! I wish this movie was like its predecessors and let us see processes and conversations play out. Hannibal is offered an ultimatum over the phone.
I offer you a life for a life. Bring me everything you have. The dog tags, pot watchers, little inventory, every fucking thing.
He recognizes the sound of songbirds from Kolnas's restaurant, so he takes a Japanese tanto sword and confronts the cook in his kitchen.
What did I do to you?
Aside from eating my sister, nothing.
Lecter threatens Kolnas's daughter, so the family man reveals Lady Murasaki is being held on Brutus's houseboat. Since Hanny's got a heart, in this version of him at least, he offers to spare Kolnas for the sake of his children. But the guy goes for a gun anyway, so Hannibal gives him a prowler probe through his jaw and out the top of his head. Nice. Hannibal tracks down Brutus's houseboat, where the pimped out war criminal is proclaiming his favorite Jordan Peele film.
Get up.
Splinter Cell Lecter boards the vessel and knocks a henchman into the water. He spots Murasaki in Brutus's room, and as he makes his way below deck, the waterlogged chum is crushed as the boat bumps into the dock. Should have swam out to a merm, dude. The plainclothes pirate finds Murasaki and prepares to free her, but a hidden Brutus shoots him in the back. It seemingly paralyzes him, but nope, never mind, he was just playing. The bullet hit his tanto sword. Guess it pays to bring a knife to a gunfight. Hannibal hobbles his foe at the Achilles heel, disarming and disankling the slimy bastard. With Brutus on the ground, Murasaki begs Lecter to turn him in.
Give him to Papil.
He ate my sister.
Brutus can't help but find that ironic.
So did you.
He delves into the grisly details, saying they fed Hannibal his sister while he was half conscious. Then he acts like Hannibal needs to kill himself according to his own rules, which, no dude, obviously it's different. Like, super different. It still upsets Lecter though, so much that he turns into the Thin Man from Charlie's Angels. With a cry to the sky, Hanazoro carves a callback into Brutus's chest.
And for Misha.
Murasaki doesn't love this style of vengeance, but she still protects Hannibal when a guard comes around, killing the guy with a stab right in the neck. now Murasaki has blood on her hands. She's incensed about the path that's led them here.
I love you.
What is left in you to love?
Realizing Hannibal won't change, Murasaki abandons her nephew lover to his revenge, which involves eating Brutus's face while he's still raw. He went from bath time to bath salts. Brutus is still kicking the last time we see him, but I'll go ahead and add him when his houseboat straight up fucking explodes. The explosion is witnessed by the arriving Papil and his men, but only Murasaki spots Hannibal fleeing into the woods. Now, I don't know why the leader of the bad guys wasn't the last one for Hannibal to kill, but sometime later, Lecter makes his way to a taxidermy shop in Canada to kill the final war criminal, Grentz. With a hand-drawn sketch and a wartime coin, he presumably kills Grentz off screen. God, I don't even want to count this stupid ending, but I will. The movie ends with Hannibal driving off to America to make 3 more much better movies. How many victims did Lil Lecter claim? Let's find out and get to the numbers. We counted 62 kills in Hannibal Rising. 52 of the victims were male, 6 were female, and 4 were unknown. Those were the bodies in the morgue in the formaldehyde tank. This was by far the most kills out of any Hannibal Lecter movie, proving yet again that kills don't dictate quality. And with a runtime of 121 minutes, that left us with a kill on average just about every 2 minutes. I'll give the golden chainsaw for coolest kill to Kolnus. It's simple, but I like a good stab through the head like that. The machete for lamest kill will go to Grentz, because why the fuck is this random dude the ultimate kill of the movie? And that's it. Hannibal Rising came out in 2007 and is so far Hannibal Lecter's last big screen appearance. We're jumping to another classic next week with The Exorcist, but until then, I'm James A. Janice. This has been The Kill Count.
On the next Kill Count,
Reagan McNeil is your typical 12-year-old girl.
Oh, Mom, can't we get a horse?
She loves her mom.
No, I love you.
She loves those beds at motels where you put a quarter in and they vibrate. Delightful. But Reagan's got a problem, and his name is Captain Howdy.
Who's Captain Howdy?
He's an ancient demon, also known as Pazuzu. You might recognize him from Gorillaz music videos.
Oh, Captain Howdy, yeah.
That's right. Anyway, he's here causing all sorts of wacky problems for this sweet little girl. He's making her head spin. He's getting her sick. And he's causing her to take a crucifix and... Oh, what's that? We shouldn't show that in the trailer? Yeah, good call. Just watch the movie yourself.
You got some time? Of course.
I mean, it was nominated for 10 Academy Awards and is probably the scariest film of all time.
Probable, not certain.
And then there's all the on-set troubles.
Shall we summon the writer?
No need. You can learn all about those on Production Tales from Hell this Sunday.
Talk, film, discuss, critique.
Then on Friday, watch The Kill Count, only on Dead Meat.
What an excellent day for an exorcism.
The Exorcist can currently be watched on the pictured streaming platforms. Dead Meat always recommends you watch the movie for yourself before its kill count. It's the only way to have your own properly informed opinion. Kill counts are never meant to replace the experience of watching a film.
Thanks a lot for watching this Kill Count for Hannibal Rising. If you're watching this the day it comes out, this is the first day of Spookala, a horror convention in Tampa, Florida that we've never been to, but we're here this year. We're here all weekend, so if you're in the Tampa area, come to Spookala to meet us and many other awesome horror people. It's a good convention, I've heard. I'm filming this in the past, so I can't say, but I bet it's great. If you missed that, or if you're in the Midwest, you can catch us next week at Astronomicon in Michigan. Astronomicon is April 12th to April 14th. And then we're doing a live show in Detroit on April 14th that night. It's a live podcast recording talking about The Crow, the original. And we're doing it at the Masonic Temple in Detroit, which is awesome. So lots of opportunities to come meet me and Chelsea. Also, as of next week, we are launching our second channel. I'm gonna hold off saying what the name is in case I haven't made that public yet. I don't know. Make sure you subscribe to it if you want to catch any non-kill count content. That includes the Dead Meat podcast, which will be the main show on that channel. This channel that you're watching right now, it's gonna be called Dead Meat Kill Counts, and it will only be kill counts. So if you like interviews, or the awards, or the Horror Royal Rumble, or They Talk, or Production Tales from Hell, or what's your favorite scary movie, or any of those other non-kill count videos, cut comparisons, if those ever come back, all of those will be on the other channel, so please make sure you subscribe to it. If it's public by now, there will be a link in the description. If not, keep an eye out for it next week. Thanks everyone, be good people.